Hello, guys. So I found this article in the St. Petersburg Times, March 28th, 1999, by Jeff Dougherty. And I'm going to cover a few more here regarding the dangers of the purification rundown, as well as taking too much niacin, which can be extremely dangerous and damaging. Store-selling Scientology vitamin regimen raises concerns. Some physicians and a former Scientologist say the treatment called a purification rundown is dangerous and ineffective. Newport Richey. Two members of the State Physicians Board are questioning whether a health food store with ties to Scientology is practicing medicine illegally by offering a church-sanctioned vitamin regimen. This all has been deemed illegal in Germany, by the way. I'm sure they still do it. The treatment called Purification Rundown is one of the first steps Scientologists take upon joining the church, the cult. Church members tout the rundown as a purifying routine that enables people to kick drug abuse and think more clearly and have more energy. Some physicians and a former Scientologist I interviewed by the Times called it dangerous and ineffective. By the way, they're doing this to young children as well, 8 and 9 years old. At a recent informational session, the owners of Pure Health on West Main Street told visitors that the rundown could avert the need for cardiac bypass surgery, treat kidney failure, and alleviate eye problems. One of the owners, who acknowledged having no traditional medical training, said she sometimes weaned clients from their prescription medication in preparation for the program. Kind of like that guy I just read about that was on psychiatric medications to help him stop psychosis. And that man, long story short, tried to jump off the building and kill himself when he didn't have his medications. To Dr. Emilio Ecavera, a member of the State Board of Medicine, those statements raised concerns about whether Pure Health broke the law. Is there a law? There may be a violation, he said. The state might say, in essence, you're practicing medicine. I certainly wouldn't look at it that very closely. Franchise of the Church, cult. The Board of Medicine regulates medical practice in the state of Echeverria, was interviewed by the Times Wednesday night as the newspaper prepared to publish a report on Pure Health's vitamin program and ties to the Church of Scientology cult. Although Pure Health does not advertise any connection with the church, the Purification Rundown is a trademark service of Scientology that can only be offered with the consent of the church cult. Pure Health, which store owner Ron Howarth described as a franchise, pays 10% of its earnings from purification to an arm of the church cult. I highly doubt he's only giving 10% of his income. Highly doubt. I'm going to take a sip of water. One of them is Ronald Gotts, a Maryland toxicologist who reviewed the procedure at the request of city officials in Shreveport, Louisiana. Sorry, guys, I'm going to go back. I missed something. The purification rundown, sometimes used as a recruiting tool by the church, has been questioned by doctors. One of them is Ronald Gotts, a Maryland toxicologist who reviewed the procedure at the request of city officials in Shreveport, Louisiana. Firefighters there underwent the treatment at city expense after they were exposed to carcinogens. I just found that it was useless, Gott said in a telephone interview. Useless and fraudulent, considering the claims that were made, and very expensive. Of course, everything they do is expensive. The program also calls for administration of up to 5 grams a day of niacin, a dose that Gott said is dangerous. A dose that Gott said is dangerous. That is a very large dose. It is potentially a toxic dose. 2 grams a day causes serious complications. Howath and co-owner Brenda Dyer said their program has been proven safe and effective. By who, I would ask? Moreover, they said clients are never told that purification can cure illness. I am not practicing medicine, said Dyer. Always got a loophole, don't they? Patients at risk. Echeverria is not the first person to question whether church members have overstepped their bounds in offering health care. Last year, the Pasco Pinellas State Attorney's Office charged the church cult with the unlicensed practice of medicine in the case of Lisa McPherson, a Clearwater woman who died after a lengthy stay at the Fort Harrison Hotel. The case is awaiting trial. There are more besides Lisa McPherson, just so you guys know. State Attorney Bernie McCabe declined to offer an opinion on whether Pure Health had broken the same law. He said his office would probably take guidance from the Board of Medicine. Take guidance. You see how arrogant they are? Echeverria said it's hard to tell whether Pure Health's program violates the law. How is it hard? But the statements made at the store's informational meeting, Echeverria said, warrant a close look. Of particular concern, he said, are promises about treatment results that are not substantiated by scientific research. Further, Echeverria said, non-doctors who tinker with a patient's prescription doses can produce tragic results. I personally think there are a lot more covered up deaths than we know. You're putting the patient at risk, Echeverria said. What knowledge does she, Dyer, have to take someone off medications that have been prescribed by a licensed practitioner? I would say 0. Jogging and saunas. The Purification Rundown was first detailed in a book by Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. In the book, Hubbard claims that ultra-high doses of niacin, coupled with a weeks-long routine of jogging and saunas, can rid the body of dangerous toxins. Have you ever seen Hubbard? Does he look like he ever jogged in his life? Just saying. The program is based on the idea that those toxins are stored in fat and can be sweated out of the body in a sauna. Others question the science behind the program and say it can lead to health problems. Robert E. Greery, an Ohio dentist and former Scientologist, underwent the treatment with his wife. She was in okay shape, but she wasn't an athlete. She was losing sleep and having hallucinations, and they were saying, "Oh, that's good." Gary said in a telephone interview, Gary said his wife eventually suffered a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized. There we got another person that had a breakdown because of all the things that they do. When an organization, Narconon, linked to Scientology sought approval from Oklahoma regulators to offer a drug treatment program that relied heavily on Purification Rundown, Gary wrote to state officials, as a healthcare practitioner that has participated in the so-called Purification Rundown, I would say it is a bunk. It's bunk, Gary wrote. I consider their treatment unscientific and dangerous. In 1991, the Oklahoma Board of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services refused to approve the treatment program. In 1991, the Oklahoma Board of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services refused to approve the treatment program, calling it unsafe and ineffective, according to a report in the Tulsa Tribune. Several lawsuits have been filed against Scientology by families who blame purification programs for the death of a relative. In Portland, Oregon, the parents of Christopher Arbuckle, 25, filed suit after he took a purification rundown course. Arbuckle died after his liver failed. His parents settled out of court for an undisclosed amount and agreed not to discuss the case. What do they call that? I forget what that's called when people can't talk about it. Poor kid was 25 years old and died after this. Ronald Gotts, who works for the International Center for Toxicology and Medicine in Rockville, Maryland, said he was contacted by the city, Shreveport, Louisiana. Firefighters there thought they had been exposed to PCBs on the job and persuaded the city, oh my gosh, to pay for the purification rundown. God, you ever notice everything's got to be paid for? This is just simple detox. Well, I mean, it's partly simple detox. Gotts reviewed their cases at the request of the insurer and found that PCB levels in the firefighters' bodies had actually gone up during the purification rundown. I think it's scientifically fallacious to say that you can remove toxic substances from the body this way, Gotts said. Materials stored in fat are not going to be removed in the sweat. It makes no sense. Despite that, Dyer aggressively defends the validity of purification. She provided the Times with a sheaf of studies on the program's effectiveness. I'm sure all those studies were done in Scientology. Hold on a minute here, guys. She agreed that the amount of niacin administered during purification can be dangerous, but the purification sauna and jogging component allows clients to sweat out excessive amounts of the vitamins, thereby preventing liver damage, Dyer said. Wow. It's unbelievable. Well, this is a very long article. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go here. The small group that attended the meeting at the Newport Richie store was also not told about the controversy surrounding purification rundown. One woman asked Dyer, "Have you ever had any failures?" "No," Dyer replied. Toxic overload. At that meeting, visitors heard testimonials about the rundown's purifying effects. Howarth said he completed the program 4 years ago after finding that he had high concentrations of heavy metals in his hair. The rundown removed those concentrations, he said. Howarth said the program can also have value for heart patients. If you do this, you can avoid bypass surgery, he said. Dyer said a wide variety of health problems can be attributed to the kind of impurities that the program purges. Cancer and AIDS are the final stages of toxic overload. Dyer said, addressing an elderly visitor who said she had recently experienced kidney failure, Dyer suggested the woman try the program. You need to do something about your toxins, Dyer said. Dyer said she has years of experience in the alternative medicine community and has advised clients preparing for the rundown to discontinue the use of drugs prescribed by doctors. Sometimes I wean someone off of their medication, she said. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to scroll. This article's too long. I'm not going to read the entire thing. But anyways, they're making some really outrageous claims. I personally believe in detoxification, and I'm not a medical professional, but I think how they're doing it is so extreme. It's extremely dangerous. And the fact that those firefighters still had those toxins in their body it's so easy. No, it wasn't that they still had the toxins in their body. It was actually higher. Me personally, being a base observer, I would say it's higher because they were sweating so much. So they actually got rid of a lot of the fluids in their body that they needed. They should be drinking lots and lots of water. But anyways, I'm going to do more on this purification and some of the other the other practices that they have that have been questioned by numerous medical professionals. Peace and have a good day. Link in the description.